All right, bacon wrapped pork fillet. So I've got a pork fillet here, which is a very lean and tender piece of pork. We often call it the pork tenderloin because it's the entire loin noisette from a piece of pork. And this one weighs 4.482 of a kilogram, so what's that, about a pound. I've also got some unsmoked back bacon. You can use smoked if you like. I've got about 4 rashers here, and I'll be using that to wrap it. And in addition to that, I've got some English mustard, and I'll be showing you how we do that right now. Alright, so what I've done is I've laid out these rashers of back bacon so that they're just ever so slightly overlapping at this point. And this, if you think about it, this will be the point of the top of the roast. So when we invert that, that'll be how it sits with that on top. Now, you can use more bacon if you like. If you use streaky, you're just going to have to lay out like a blanket of streaky bacon. But I like then to fold this in like that and then wrap it. But before we do that, I've got another little trick to show you. So I've taken a rather generous amount, 2 teaspoons of English mustard, which I've used for this, and you can use any mustard you like, but English mustard is particularly good for this. And you may think, oh, it's going to be hot. Well, no, it isn't actually, because when mustard cooks, it turns a little bit sweet. Now, the pork tenderloin is a beautiful piece of meat, but if it lacks one thing, it lacks fat, and fat is essential to the cooking process of any meat, really, and in order to keep it nice and tender. And one thing the bacon does to this is it locks in that moisture inside the tenderloin as we cook it. And we don't cook it slowly, we cook this at about 180 degrees Celsius, which is about 350 degrees Fahrenheit. But what I like to do before we get started here is we paint plenty of mustard onto that yummy piece of pork loin. And then what I want to do is I want to fold over that thin end over so that it makes a thick end there, and then I'm going to place that on to my bacon at that apex point I showed you earlier. The other good thing about the mustard, it acts as a bit of a catalyst so that the bacon sticks to it rather well. But it's really there for its flavouring and for its, particularly for its sweetness once it's cooked. And then we start with the tails of the bacon, and we wrap those over and tuck them under, rolling it if necessary to get them under. And then taking it where it overlaps first, pin that round, and then bring that round. Very simple. Even I can do it, look. There we go. And then that rolls over to create that rather attractive bacon wrapped pork loin joint. Right, I've taken a baking sheet, which is I've just wrapped in foil and covered in a bit of oil, a spray on oil, and I'll place that right on there. And the only other thing I'm going to do is make up some sage and onion stuffing balls, which I'm going to just make up from the sage and onion stuffing packet. I'll make that up rather simply. All you do is you add water to that, and then I'll form it into balls. But the first thing I want to do now is get this into my oven it goes into a hot oven at 180 degrees Celsius, which is 350 Fahrenheit, as I've said. And I'm going to put that in initially for 10 minutes. One thing I've done here is I've just painted off the ends with some extra mustard, just to make sure they're all covered up. And that will burst with deliciousness. Okay, I never leave anything the way it originally was, so I've got to add some of this. I've got a little bit of streaky bacon, you know, the fatty ends of streaky bacon here. And I'm just cutting that up into little pieces because I'm going to add that into my stuffing. And that's going to be rather, going to make it all that better. So just the addition of a little bit of bacon, a little bit of extra flavour in there. And unlike the bacon that I wrapped around the pork loin, this one is smoked. So that'll give it an extra little bit of character to my stuffing. So I'll move that to one side. Get my stuffing, and I think that's a 170 gram pack of stuffing. And I'll mix that up according to the instructions. Quite simply. And the instructions are on the packet. 425 mils of water. Right, I think we'll be a bit more guesswork about that. Okay, so I'll make a well in the middle. Add in some water. Give it a stir. See where we are. I think I'll get my bacon in at this point. Stir that around while it's still a bit dry. And these stuffing mixes take more water than you would think. It actually absorbs quite a lot of water. And even though that looks kind of ready now, that is getting drier by the second as I'm putting my spoon into it. So I will add that until I get it to the right texture. Or just make it according to the instructions. I'm eyeballing it, as you can see. But that's the way I roll. So I just spray my hands with oil, and then it just helps it as you roll them up into balls. So just like the packet says, it rolled it out and made 12 balls. They're about, just slightly bigger than a ping pong ball, squash ball. And they're now ready to bake, but I don't want to bake them too long, so I'm just going to add them in after the pork's been baking for about 10 minutes. Alright, that's been in for nearer 15 minutes than 10, but it's already starting to take shape and looking rather good. The only thing I want to do now is just give it a little spray of oil and just put my stuffing balls around it. Give that another spray, and that goes back in the oven now. And really we just want to cook that until the internal temperature is safe, and I think I'll take that to about 80 degrees Celsius, and we'll just keep monitoring it and see how it is. But I'm going to put it in for at least another 10-15 minutes, but I'll keep an eye on it. Alright, that's been in there for about 35 minutes in total. The stuffing balls some 15 minutes less than that, but so we'll take the temperature. So it's just it's reading 80 degrees Celsius. So we need to allow that to rest for about 10 minutes before carving. Alright, I've boiled and drained some floury potatoes, which are particularly good for mashing. I'm going to put in a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of creme fraiche, or sour cream. I'm going to make this a little bit special. And then I get in there with a masher, mash it all up nicely, and we'll see how dry it is. I might need to add some milk. So all they are is boiled in salted water, and then I add the butter and the sour cream, or the creme fraiche, whatever it is you've got, and then I mash it really well, because I want that to be really nice and smooth when it's done. And to further that end, what I'll do is I'll give it a nice whip. And it really makes them nice and light and delicious. So I'm just going to give that a quick taste. See what it's like. Oh, absolutely yummy. Right, serving up time. So it's really quite easy to handle with the tongue, because the bacon is kind of holding it all nicely together. I'll put that to one side, and then we can get it carved. How we're going to show this, let's do it this way. How gorgeous is that? Beautifully cooked pork loin. And then I'm going to cut that into médaillon. Okay, so I've served it up with some nice steamed vegetables, mixed vegetables, some stuffing balls, and the beautiful mash we made earlier. And I'm going to add some lovely gravy into a well in the potatoes, and that's ordinary brown meat gravy. Enjoy. Hey friends, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you would like to follow my channel, please subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell icon and select all to receive notifications for all my future videos. It would be great to hear from you in the comments, and I'll try to get back to as many of you as possible. You may wish to check out these titles, or even help me out with a donation using the links in the description below the video. Thanks for watching.